Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and I really need an idea for a dungeon. I need it now. I've got 6 people whose schedules all aligned like the stars, except rarer, and they're all coming over for a Dungeons & Dragons session right now, well, in like 20 minutes. And here's the thing, I had my session all penned, wrote out, thought out, was ready to grindstone, railroad, and allay all of their ridiculous distractions, and then my dog ate my quest. That's right. My dog ate my quest. Now, if you know me, you know there is no Dungeons & Dragons, there are no friends, there is no dog, and there is no quest. But if this has ever happened to you, you can stop it. All you need is to just get rid of your friends. I mean, get DUNGEONMORPH, crypts, lairs, and sewer designs from Inkwell Ideas. I wrongly attributed the entire DUNGEONMORPH, which is cards and dice, oversized like 20mm dice, I think, that you can roll. Each face of a die has an entire dungeon room or set of corridors or combination thereof on its face. So by literally rolling dice, you can create dungeon after dungeon after dungeon. And had I known I wasn't going to spend as much money at the convention that I got these cards at, I would have bought more stuff. But as it stands, all I have today to show you are these. But I called them Inkwell Gaming, and for that I really apologize. It's Inkwell Ideas. Links will be in the description below. So what is DUNGEONMORPH, crypts, lairs, and sewer or designs? Well, DUNGEONMORPH is cards and dice, as I explained. The cards will allow you to create dungeons on the fly with each card corresponding to those dice I was talking about. Faces. Don't go anywhere yet. This may be for you, and I'm going to work through the reasons why that could be, maybe, perhaps, might. 1, this is a small footprint. This is incredibly small. Here are your magic cards. Here is your entire dungeon for hours and hours and hours of gaming. Magic the Gathering dice, HeroQuest dice, cards. Tiles on your mat, cards. It does not take up a lot of room. They are kind of lightweight. All right, so we open this up and we have a key right here on the box to represent the symbols that mean the corresponding definitions, such as basic wall, lower level wall under rock elevation line, railing, pit. And then we have different doors, the basic door, the double door, the secret door, which looks more like a money door, but okay, and the portcullis. And furnishings, such as the altar, brazier, chest, coffin, curtain, fireplace, fountain, ladder, statue, throne, and well. This column, very particular to me, very important, because we might be playing a particular dungeon crawler that has such dungeon dressings and pieces of represented furniture in it. And if so, then these cards are going to provide quite an immersive experience, so long as I have all of the assets here to showcase the stuff that the map calls for. We've also got an other tab. I'm just calling it tab. It's not a tab, it's a section. Boards over the water or chasm, a magic circle, a grate, a mound, a pillar, rubble, stairs that are natural, a trapdoor to other level, and a water area. The key could be seen as kind of convoluted. Like there's a lot of stuff there, and the symbols aren't so complex that they're very different from one another, and they're also kind of samey, if I'm being honest. But you can already tell that this set of cards is going to have a ton of rooms, a ton of passages. They won't all necessarily have to connect to one another. Some of these are very much isolated from others, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. They are also double-sided. So yeah, this is literally going to be 72 times 2. It's 144 to like the 144th power with how many different combinations you can lay out. And that's not even counting the fact that these are perfectly rotatable and will remain completely compatible with all of the other cards. But if you want to keep them all the exact same orientation so that it's readable and the numbers on every side are all facing the same way, then you have my respect for sure. There are no instructions. You just draw the cards and lay them out and build your dungeon. So let's go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say that that's my dungeon. I'm done. That's it. Finished. I suppose I will use the numbers for my own designs, and I will say that the card that has the giant number 1 on it is where our heroes will enter this tomb. Those are coffins, right? Yes, those are coffins. This is a tomb, and there are 4 statues along the walls in the room. Whether or not this hints to some grander puzzle, we don't know yet. You can't really travel north because I don't have a card there. Ergo, those are not passages, they are dead ends. They're little alcoves where there are no statues placed, and the northwest hallway has a locked door at the end, so you can't go that way yet. You're going to travel along either the southwest hallway or the northeast hallway, and if you go northeast, knowing from seeing the outside of this building that this will be a shorter path to clear out and check out if there's anything of interest before heading into what could be a much bigger and much more dangerous section of the dungeon. You will see that there is a lot of water area, statues, stairs, and a single coffin. That's not good. You can't get the lid of the coffin open, so your only choice is to backtrack and then explore the rest of the dungeon. You do note that there is a secondary entrance. Perhaps this is the one that the servants use, or perhaps this is the one that the mourners use when they are visiting this temple, and then the business entrance is through the front. Well, that would be through the creepy tomb room, so maybe not. We have onks here next to all of the rooms. You could use this as the clues or points of interest or quest notes markers. There is a little moon next to the 5, and that's not the only number that sports a tiny moon. There are lots of other symbols on these cards as well, such as the fang, the skull, the jaws, the spider, the Nintendo directional pad, and many others. They're just there to make your note-taking a little easier, and you can actually use these numbers to refer to the cards. Like, I would like to make a dungeon out of 5 onk, 1 moon, then carriage return, 3 moon, 3 onk, 1 onk, and 5 moon. I'm kind of making the assumption that there are no 2 numbers and symbol combinations that are alike. 1 fire, 3 fire, 5 fire. 1 tombstone, 3 tombstone, 5 tombstone. Okay, there probably isn't then. But I would go on to say that in this hypothetical dungeon situation, you would go through, find keys, open doors, battle enemies, find more keys to backtrack and open doors, and eventually make your way through very dangerous areas, such as this area here, which is completely covered in statues. Are the statues alive? You're going to have to find out the hard way by giving them a little tickle, 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 tickle. Don't ask why I called that the hard way. You'll find out. We have a pair of secret doors here and a secret corridor that secretly connects these 2 passages, and we're going to call all of the other entrances just non-existent or dead ends, where they just end in little alcoves. You're going to have a lot of that because literally every single card has 8 points upon which the card can be entered or exited. Now you'll get little islands like this, which mean nothing in the overall grand scheme of things, but it's just one of those things that'll happen, because the cards are built to accommodate so many different configurations and situations. Now, is there any rhyme or reason? I think so. I think the onks kind of symbolize that it's a tomb setting. The only tragedy here is you're going to need to buy 2 decks if you want to use both sides of the cards, because obviously, there's not going to be any repeats, and if 3 is a tomb setting and 4 is a tomb setting, but 4 is on the backside of 3 and 2 is on the backside of 1 and 5 is on the backside of 6 and so on, well, you're going to have a bit of an issue. Now, I mentioned already that they sell dice, and the dice pretty much have the entirety of what you see here on the face, minus, I think, the number and symbol. I could be wrong about that. Obviously, it'll be on a much smaller footprint, but you can take the dice and put them together, arrange them, and make the dungeon just as you see here. So you can roll dice or you can draw cards, but where the cards kind of have an advantage is that there are enough cards here to represent, I think, 3 total sets of the dice. This is Crypts, Lairs, and Sewers design. So there are actually, and I noticed this when I visited the Inkwell Ideas booth, the Crypts dice, the Lairs dice, which were separate, and the Sewers dice, which were separate. And each die, being a 6-sided die, would have 3 of these cards worth of dungeon maps on it. And I say this because there are 6 maps here. So if a dice set came with 6 dice, and we take 3 cards to represent each 6-sided die, then you would have your Crypt set looking like this. And not all of them were sets of 6. I think there was like a set of 5 once, and I think there was a set of 8 in another. But we haven't even touched the total amount of cards that are in this deck, and it's going to drive me nuts, but I've just separated these beyond all recognition. Look at this. We're only about a quarter of the way through the entirety of the deck, so I think that this either represents 3 8-die sets, or it represents 4 6-die sets, or some combination between the 2. It's more fun to roll the dice, I think. I think it would be a lot more fun to have the dungeon dice, and I really, really wish I had picked up a set. It occurs to me during editing that you could take these cards and glue them onto the 6 faces of a cube and just roll that as a giant die, though, if you really wanted the dice effect, either permanently or temporarily. Somewhere around here, I do have a couple of 6-sided die that have very, very simple instructions on the faces. Left corridor, right corridor, straight, stairs, door, I think. That's not quite the same as generating an entire room with the roll of a single die And it's not the same at all as going ahead and drawing 9 cards and kind of putting them in whatever random order, and then just saying this is going to be our dungeon for the night. And this would be very easy to place behind a GM screen or a HeroQuest screen or whatever it is you want to do, and have your dry erase mat in front of the screen. And you're slowly, as your players are progressing through the dungeon, unveiling the fog of war. Now, I've never been a fan of dry erase mats. I think that they're just too unimmersive, and I'm not very much a theater of the mind kind of player in any game. So that does take away a lot of enjoyment that I could be having if only I were more of a theater of the mind kid. But I need to have representations of certain things to immerse me in a setting in order to be super comfortable and have lots of fun. That's just me. It's not everybody. But look at this. This is going to take like 3 hours to get through. Somebody somewhere out there, some company, they have this world's largest dungeon thing going on, and the fact that I can't recall who it is probably insulting to somebody. But I mean, world's largest dungeon, my foot. Just buy a deck of these cards and place them all down. Get you one of those things that allows you to put together a puzzle and then save all the pieces and just envelop all the cards into that and save your huge dungeon. Or better yet, go ahead and get all your squares lined up, get everything nice and connected, and then take a picture of this, maybe with your smartphone. Save it to a folder, call it level 1 of the Tower of Murcielaga or whatever you'd like, and send your heroes to their doom on an endless adventure that will take them up the floors of a tower that stretches into the sky, a tower of unfathomable height, a tower of unfathomable girth. Was that necessary? I just want to look at a few more of these cards before we call it quits. You can see that some of them definitely have more of a cave design. They're definitely gridded out for you. So if you have anything that could correspond to the grid on the cards, you will be able to draw this stuff with a pretty precise integrity. Am I going to just open up a book of Loki's battle mats? Well, maybe not every single time. This is so much a smaller footprint. As long as I have some way to represent the overall adventure that's taking place, this is really not a bad idea. The only critique that I could possibly have about these is I don't really like the blue, and I do wish there was a little bit more of a splash of color. This is going to keep printing costs way down, way down. It's just literally like 2 colors, right? It's just 2, I think, shades of blue. That's it. That's all that's on these, on every single card. The grid disappears into the walls because I have reason to believe it's the exact same color, and then you have just a slightly lighter color, not a crosshatch. So 2-color printing. Keeps the cost low, and honestly, you don't need them to be any more detailed than this, so the complaint isn't really even that much warranted. However, if you were so inclined, you could, especially if you don't have a lot of space, big gaming table, lots of people, drinks, snacks, go ahead and lay your stuff out and just say, that's the dungeon. This is how we're playing today. Now you go ahead and you get yourself some 5mm cubes, which you can get out of any of your existing tin games, or you can just buy a whole bucket of them off of eBay, or not eBay, Amazon for like $10 USD. And look at that, we've got enough to represent the heroes and the enemies, and these cubes will fit on these spaces. They need to be a little bit smaller so that there's not like cube crowding, but honestly, I've dealt with much worse just playing HeroQuest, so you can go ahead and lay these out as your heroes. Enter the card, just go ahead and put all the enemies down, and now all of the enemies will be able to move and be activated on their turns and attack the players. So you can have yourself a strategic dungeon crawler. You don't even have to use the large dice. You can just get yourself some 8mm dice out, and those would also be common to tin games. And now you can roll 1 for the enemy's movement and 1 for their action. 1 through 3 could be skulls, 4 and 5 white shields, 6 black or exploding or critical. Each enemy can move 2 spaces and attack with 1 skull in this skirmish scenario. Nothing's actually going to occur, though. Now the heroes get to go. And so on and so forth. Green can mean greenskins, yellow can mean undead, red can mean heroes, but obviously your heroes need to keep track of who's who, or you could just dot your cubes. This is if you don't have a lot of room or not a lot of time, because this eliminates like 90% of setup time. Now the cards don't come with this stuff. This stuff is not anything to do with Inkwell ideas. It's just stuff that I have on hand, and you know I'm going to inject my ideas in all of these little unwarranted, unasked for, unsolicited presentations of stuff that's not mine. And as punishment, I can't get my tin closed again. Serves me right. Continuing on, we have hexagons, we have water droplets, there's the D-pad again, we have fire. These can represent mansions, they can represent castles, they can represent anything you like. I'm impressed because there had to have been a lot of work going into these to make sure that they were at least unique on every single face and that they were all completely compatible with every other card. The blue color might actually be a Crypts, Lairs, and Sewers Designs color specifically. So if you get cards from a different set, they might be different. I don't know, but I would be very, very happy to continue looking at Inkwell Ideas products and creations right here on the channel. The gentlemen running the booth were also very friendly, so I just wanted to point that out as well. And that's Inkwell Ideas DungeonMorph. What creative ways did you think of using these? Put your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to check out the Patreon as well as the benefits of being a YouTube member here on the channel. It's a very cheap thing, and you can get some permanent benefits for a one-time join. That's it for today, brave heroes. I wish you farewell in your journeys, and for now, onward.